So, Coach, go ahead.
Thank you, Brett. We're really excited to announce our signing class for class of 2023. The early signing period has been really good for us, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to announce the guys that have signed, but also uh, to alert everyone that there will be others that are going to be signing between now and the signing class that will be announced in February. So we'll still add to this group. Really excited about this group of young men that are joining our family. Obviously, there are going to be a few that are going to be going on missions first, but there are some that are joining us in mid-year in January, and others that will join us later on in summer. So, want to express our gratitude and appreciation to all those involved in recruiting. Probably too many names to list individually, but our recruiting department, those guys have done a great job with our recruiting assistants and everybody that's been involved in handling the recruiting process. Obviously, our coaching staff, our support staff, and our coaching staff, present, the current and the past. And so, looking forward to getting more recruits added to this class, but also just want to just let them know how much we appreciate all their hard work and their sacrifice that they've made into bringing these young men here. And looking at the group of the young men, these guys fit BYU. That's the key, that they fit what we're doing here in the program. They fit the mission of our university, the mission of our football program, and what we're trying to accomplish as a football team on and off the field. And so really excited to announce all these young men, but also when we bring them here on campus, the key to this recruiting class is that they're connected to more than just the coaches, to myself, to the coordinators, and to the full-time coaches. These guys have developed camaraderie and a feeling of family with our players that are currently on our roster, as well as the alumni, everybody involved in the university, the faculty and staff that's been involved in the recruiting, the official visits, all that involved. I mean, it's been a wonderful process. I've been here now for 7 years, and being involved in recruiting, being able to see how much interaction that our recruits have with everybody involved at BYU. It's been amazing. I hope everyone knows that we appreciate them, and finally want the fans to know that we love and appreciate you guys. You guys make this thing work. Cougar Nation, thank you so much. This is your class of young men that's joining us this year, and really looking forward to talking about them. So with me right now, I have our coordinators, our offensive coordinator, Aaron Roderick, our defensive coordinator, Jay Hill. So A-Rod and Jay can take a lot of your questions. If you need something from me, you can obviously ask me. So we'll open up the questions and the opportunity to do this press conference. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Darnell, why don't you go ahead, followed by Kevin, and then Mitch. You got us there, Darnell? Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, Aaron, I had a question for you about Ryder Burton specifically. I'm curious, what was your first impression of him when you met him, and does he remind you of anybody that you coached in the past, quarterback-wise?
Well, what I was impressed with most about him is just obvious arm talent. He, even when he was a young guy coming to our camps, and he came to every camp we've held in recent memory, he's a really smooth, effortless thrower, and he has a strong arm. He's accurate, fast release, all the things you look for in a thrower. He's a pure thrower, and that's what stood out from the start. And what was the second part of your question?
Does he remind you of anybody that you've coached in the past, quarterback-wise?
I try not to make too many comparisons like that. But I do think he's got a really quick release, compact throwing motion that, and he's accurate, and I think people are gonna enjoy watching him throw it.
This question's for Jay. I'm curious, what was your role in maybe forming the relationships with some of these defensive recruits? How important was that to you once you took the job?
So a lot of the recruits were already either committed or had long relationships with the coaching staff. My role was really just to come in and cement that and see if we could solidify some of the guys that were already committed. There were a lot of schools still trying to get in on some of these guys, and at that point you just try to get to know the family, get to know the kids, see if you can keep them cemented, and continue to look for other guys as well. But most of the relationship was already there with the coaching staff.
All right, we'll go with Jay Drew, then we'll try Darnell again.
This question's for Kalani, but if any of the coordinators want to take a stab, that's fine. Kalani, you talked about moving from developmental players to players that could help right away as you transition into the Big 12, ready-made players, I think maybe you've talked about. How does this class work towards that? Does this accomplish kind of your goals in that area?
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the transition is going to the Big 12 and going through the off season. The development's always part of our program. Anyone can develop, and so it doesn't matter if you're returning for your senior year or you're a true freshman here. The development is always going to take place, and so in terms of ready-made players, even those guys need development. So we're looking at opportunities to get our guys better. And when we talk about guys that are ready to play, we're going to have to have a mix of guys that can obviously go on missions and guys that need to come in and play right now. I think that's probably me defining it a little bit more specifically, is that looking at the roster, seeing who's going to be able to provide us an opportunity to see depth and develop into it quickly, and then also projecting guys that are going to be here 2 to 3 years from now. And so that's kind of the goal, what we're trying to get done. And this recruiting class accomplishes all that. It's a diverse group, and a lot of the guys fit in the category that I just mentioned right now. But they all have the ability to do some great things here in LaVell Stadium and play for our program.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Darnell. Okay, I don't know, Darnell seemed to have a little trouble there, so go ahead with Jake Hatch, followed by Sean Walker.
Yeah, this question's for A-Rod. Aaron, when it comes to how you go about recruiting quarterbacks, kind of piggybacking off what Kevin asked earlier, what do you look for most when you look at a quarterback at the high school level?
Accuracy is always right up there. There's a lot to it, but a guy that can be accurate is number one priority. And then, we're looking for someone who's a great leader, who has, we like athletic ability. I don't get too hung up on size. I think there's, that can be a little bit overplayed sometimes, but accuracy and, fast release, good decision maker, those things, a guy that can get the ball out of his hands and put it where he wants to put it. I mean, that's number one at playing quarterback.
Go ahead, Sean.
This is probably a Kalani question, but again, kind of like Jay said, if the coordinators want to weigh in too, that's totally fine too. But how you guys have a couple of transfers obviously that are coming in this class, and maybe a few more that obviously you can't talk about right now, but what has kind of the transfer portal done in just changing how you guys sort of approach recruiting in the early signing period and that sort of thing? Has it had an impact on how you guys recruit high school talent, I guess?
You guys want to jump in, or do you want me to take it?
I can do that one.
Yeah.
I think the portal is more, it's sort of like free agency, your immediate needs, those types of things. If there's a good player available that's a difference maker and they can fill an immediate need, then you look to the portal. But we're never going to stop recruiting high school players that that we project are going to be good players in this program. So I think finding a good balance there. I think if you're just all portal all the time, there's a good chance your team's going to be pretty up and down from year to year. And so what we're trying to do is just have, a nice balance there where we're plugging a few gaps with portal guys, but the majority of our recruiting class is still going to be high school players that, a lot of them will go on missions and then they'll get started for us a couple years later. And then, we've got a long history here of developing players over time. And so I think we're trying to find that balance.
If you look at the portal, I mean, we've had really good success with the portal guys that we bring in, but there's some programs that have just gone complete portal recruiting only, and I think we're gonna, like A-Rod said, we're gonna be able to have that complement what we have on our team currently, and provide some competition, but they have to be the right fit. It's not just, and the fit to the team too. It's not just that on talent alone. The guys that we've recruited in this class fit exactly just like the guys that did with Puka and Samson and Caleb Hayes and Houston Haymuli, Kingsley. All those guys fit exactly what we're trying to get accomplished here on and off the field. And so it's a good portal. It's really good for our program. So it's good for us to use it. But I don't think that's going to be like the overriding that most of our recruits are going to come portal only. There's some programs that do that. We won't do that. Anything to add, Jay?
No, just I would say with the other schools recruiting the portal so heavily right now, the caliber of high school kid that we can still recruit is very, very, very high. We just got to get the right ones here.
All right, Kevin, go ahead, followed by Mitch.
Yeah, Jay, this one's for you. You mentioned some of the long-standing relationships that a lot of these guys already had with the previous defensive coaches. I'm curious if you've noticed any uncertainty with some of the coaching staff turnover in this signing class particularly, or if they were kind of just already locked in.
No, I don't sense a lot of uncertainty with these recruits that were here. Most of them committed to Kalani and his program, and the coaching staff changes I don't think interrupted at all what we're trying to get accomplished moving forward, and I didn't see any wavering from recruits due to that. And again, it's more that these kids were committed to Kalani and the program, and that's how it should be.
This question's for Aaron. Aiden Robbins, how much of an impact was the previous success that BYU has had in recent years at running back, or was it more of the existing relationships you guys had when he was coming out of high school?
I think it was a little bit of both. We've had, we've run the ball pretty well here the last few years and had some success, and so I think that was attractive to him. But we also, like you mentioned, we had a good relationship with him out of high school. He visited here, and so, we kind of picked up right where we left off with him in high school. Felt like we already knew him really well. He knew us really well, so it was a pretty easy. Pretty easy relationship, I guess. So I can't speak for him, but I think it was a combination of those two things that made him feel like he wanted to be here.
All right, go ahead, Sean. Then Jake.
I need to learn how to unmute myself, kind of like Darnell sometimes. But this is for Jay, for Coach Hill, because you mentioned that a lot of the guys were previously committed to this class, but it does seem like there are a lot of defensive players in particular in this group that are sort of that edge style, pass rushers, that kind of thing, very kind of well conditioned to a Jay Hill style of defense that we've lost at Weber State and that sort of thing. Did you kind of notice that with a lot of the players, like, hey, this is somebody that I can definitely work with as you were sort of re-recruiting them?
Well, Kalani gave us the opportunity to come in and watch the guys that were committed and just make sure that they fit the style. And for years now, Kalani and I and A-Rod, we've seen eye to eye on the guys that we've recruited. We were together for 9 years, and we feel like we have a good eye for the recruits that we want, who fits the systems that we want to implement, and the recruits that were here will do that. And I think adding Sione and the other defensive guys to the mix that we're comfortable with, recruiting's going to get better and better and better. And the key, in my opinion, is the eye for what we want to bring and how they fit the schemes and systems that we're going to implement.
I'm going to apologize in advance for butchering this guy's name, but Isaiah, is it Bagna? Did I get that correct, Coach?
Yes.
Okay, I guess this is for you, Jay. Why him? Why did you bring him into BYU? What does he bring?
Well, he's played a lot of Division I reps right now at a high level. He brings a twitchy pass rusher off the edge, and he's multiple. He can play outside backer. He can play defensive end. He's physical. He's athletic. I think he fits what we need on the edge. And he reminds me a lot of the guys that BYU has had here in the past. You know, the Vanoys, the Taki-Takis, Fred Warners. He's a similar body type as those guys.
All right, Mitch, go ahead, followed by Jay.
And this question's for all three coaches, but we can start with Kalani on it. Tom Holmoe's talked a lot about this move to the Big 12. Everything needs to level up. The recruiting efforts with staff and support staff, what's going to take place to level up recruiting efforts going forward into the Big 12?
I think just going off of what Jay said earlier is being able to project guys, but also when we're projecting guys and how they can play, is it's multiple positions. Other than the quarterback, which the quarterback himself can play a bunch of the positions, but if they can throw the ball, A-Rod's not going to let them go. But defensively, offensively, being able to just use guys at different spots, and we've been able to cross-train them and see guys that can play on the offensive side of the ball, they can also play on the defensive side of the ball. That's going to be the key. When you can pick from that pool of talent, and guys that are willing, I think it could be something special. So we're looking at recruiting. I'm not looking at rankings and things like that. I know you guys do all that, but we're looking at playing ability first, and also the versatility that they may have. And you look at this group of young men here, they can play a lot of different positions. A lot of them are hybrids in some ways, and it's just seeing what we need to fit the scheme. Now that we've had an identity on what we want to get done, offense, defense, and special teams, it's now taking the pieces that can fit in all three of those phases, and then finding out where they can be their best. And that's the key for us, is the flexibility and the versatility in all the players on the list.
All right, go ahead, Jay, and then if there's other questions, we'll go with Jake after that. Any other questions, raise your hand.
Kalani, not to throw a wet blanket on this, but there are some high-profile LDS kids that are going elsewhere. What will it take to turn the tide, maybe, and get some of these kids back to BYU?
Well, I mean, if you look at it in history, BYU hasn't had the monopoly on all of the LDS talent. I mean, there's guys that have gone to other places, and to assume that they're a member of the church and this is where they want to be, that's what we need to do is make sure that they're the right fit, whether they're members of the church or not. And our focus is to obviously recruit people that are common interests and that could fit our program, but it comes down to what they want, what's best for them. We've been able to have great relationships with recruiting. Obviously, our focus, people have in-state recruiting. We do that with this, but we also have to look at our members first, but also trying to communicate with them. And I think we have a really good staff that can recruit the best of them. And if that means that we can get a few more than we've been able to do, then great. I think we've got a really good thing to sell right now. We're in the Big 12. There's a lot of great things happening in this program, in the athletic department and in the university overall. And so there's a lot of great momentum swinging our way, and I anticipate that we'll be able to get that done in recruiting as well. So I'm projecting that we're going to be able to probably get more than what we've had in the past, but to assume that we should have ownership on all of them, BYU's never had that. Maybe way back in the 70s, I don't know, but it'd be great if we can get that done. That'd be nice. But what I want to have a monopoly on is 5-star young men that with their character that will show on the field, and then we have a good group of that. And these guys they fit that character list right now. And but in the talent-wise, there's great talent all over the place. You can only sign so many. There's way more members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that can play football, that have tons of talent that we can't sign them all. It'd be great if we can.
Kalani, it relates a little bit to recruiting here, but I wanted to get your thoughts on adding Sione Bua to your staff. I guess Jake can weigh in on this as well if he wants to, but what will he bring to your staff and to recruiting in-state in particular?
Man, I don't know where to start. The guy's a great teacher, great recruiter, great leader. He's going to be perfect for what we need from our defensive front. He's tough, he's strong, and he's going to require his guys to do all that. Be physical, and to be tough, That's a relative word, but he's going to make them tough in all different ways, and that's mentally, physically, and spiritually, and he'll do it by his example. I'm so excited that he's coaching with us, just like I am with Jay and the others that we've been able to add. And we got one more to add that we feel really excited about, and so hopefully we can announce that soon. But I feel good about the entire group. I feel good about our support staff. I feel good about what we're doing and creating the momentum that we had going into the bowl game, and now trying to get that to springboard us into 2023, going off of with what we have here, complementing our recruiting class.
All right, we'll take a last question from Mitch.
Yeah, Aaron, wanted to ask you about Jackson Bowers, Josiah Phillips, and Ryder Burton. Just maybe I focus on them because they're offensive guys that'll be expect to be part of it next year. What type of impact, if any, do you think they could provide in 2023?
Well, first of all, I think it's always sort of unfair to single out guys too much, and also anytime you comment on freshmen contributing, it's a tricky situation, because if I say I have high expectations for them, then you're maybe putting pressure on them, or that isn't fair. Or then if you act like you don't expect them to play, then that's I want these guys to know that I believe in them. But Jackson Bowers, I'll just say is he looks like a Power 5 tight end right now. He's a big, strong, athletic guy. He's all of 6'5", 245, 250 pounds, and wouldn't be surprised if he is able to play as a freshman. He's a really good player, and Ryder is going to need to develop. He played in an offense in high school. It was very sort of old school I formation. He was under center most of the game, and adapting to our style of play is going to take a little work. But the arm talent that's there and the work ethic that he displays leads me to believe that he's going to be a really good player here. He already knows our whole offense. The guy lives in this building. He's here as much as our assistant coaches are. And then the other guy you mentioned was
JoJo.
JoJo. Oh, JoJo is JoJo. He's a great-looking kid. He's long. He's athletic. Fessy did a great job recruiting him, and he's going to fit right in. If you notice, we recruit big receivers here. We've got a lot of length in our receiver room, and he's going to fit right in there. And I know Fessy's great at getting his guys ready to play, so I'm super excited about JoJo.
All right, well, thank you very much, Kalani, Jay, and Aaron, for your time today meeting with the media, and we appreciate everyone's interest and attention to this. As we have additional signees and information that comes in, we'll distribute that to the media through our typical channels, and we'll have a packet of information with everything to get to you. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. And with that, we'll thank everyone, and we'll check in next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.